Hey guys, welcome back to my Football Manager 2019 experiment. As for today's experiment, we will create a legendary player. He will have a perfect stats and attributes. As you can see, it is all 20 over 20 with 200 player ability. In this experiment, we will use a South Korean player. Actually, the name is customized, and at first, when I saw this player, he was actually without the club, and he is very young, with 15 years old. So I transferred him to this club, Ansan Greeners, as they were playing in the second division of Korean League, and they were expected to finish 10th this season. So by giving the worst team the best player makes it equalize a little bit. But moving on in the future, I believe this player will travel to Europe to play his best football. So, before we move on 10 years ahead, let's have a look to the South Korean national team. As of 2018, South Korea is ranked 57th in the FIFA World Ranking. For the national team, we have several good players such as Son Heung-min, who's currently playing for Tottenham Hotspurs, Ki Sung-young, playing for Newcastle, Koo Ja-chol, playing for Augsburg, Kwon Kyung-won, playing for Tianhai, and then the other players who play in the Europe League is Hwang Hee-chan, currently at Hamburg SV on loan from FC Salzburg, Ji Dong-won, another player playing for Augsburg, Lee Chong-young, the player that playing for VfL Bochum now, and he used to play with Bolton Wanderers and Crystal Palace in the Premier League. So, with this perfect player, can he lift up South Korean national team to become the best team in the world? So, we will forward this to another 10 years to see what progress our player Park Hyo-bae will make in the future. Now we jump 10 years ahead, and as you can see, our perfect player Park Hyo-bae still has his perfect attributes. He's now playing for Real Madrid and valued around 111 million, and his contract until 2031. So he's now 25 years old. Basically, we started 10 years ago when he was 15, and he already met 114 caps with the international team with South Korea with 114 goals. So the right ratio is 1 goal per caps. I think that is a very very impressive record to be said. So looking at his history, as when we started, he played for Ansan and he played there for 3 seasons. The first season he played 24 games and scored 18 goals, and then in the next season he scored quite fewer goals, but he managed to assist a lot more goals with higher ratings. He did manage to make Ansan promoted to K-League 1 and managed to play 19 games, scoring 10 goals, 8 assists, and even has 16 player of the match to his name with rating of 8.80. This has made him available for Paris Saint-Germain with just 125k. He played 24 games, scoring 11, scored 15 in his second season, and scored 12 goals in his last season in Paris Saint-Germain before moving to Manchester City for free transfer. There, he scored 19 goals in his first season. I think this is the best scoring record he ever has in a season. In the second season, he scored 18 goals, while for Manchester City in the third and the final year, he scored 14 goals 13 assists and 12 player of the match to his name with a rating of 8.97. This made him a popular transfer target for Real Madrid when he sealed a $158 million move, and he doesn't started that bad where he scored 18 goals in 19 appearances, and as for these 10 years, that is his highest ranking ever. So now let's have a look for the national team of the Korean Republic. In 2018, when we started all this, Park Hyo-bae didn't play until in December, where he made his debut against Syria and even scoring twice in that game. In 2019, we have an Asian Cup where we beat Myanmar. Park Hyo-bae scored in his first competition, and then 4-0 against Bahrain, where Park Hyo-bae scored all 4 goals, and then 3-1 against Palestine, another goal from Park Hyo-bae. He certainly have a very very good debut competition. And then we made it through to the second round. Park Hyo-bae again scoring twice, and then Ki Sung-yong scored the third. We then beat China 1-0. Son Heung-min became the hero. And then in the semi-final, we beat United Arab Emirates 3-0 with Ki Sung-yong and Koo Jae-chol. By this time, Park Hyo-bae didn't score any more goals in that competition. And then in the final, unfortunately, we lost 2-0 against Australia. Leon was sent off in that game, and basically that is a heartache for the team. Nevertheless, the road to World Cup continues in June, where we won all our games and even won 12-0 here against Singapore. Wang Hee-chan scoring 4, Son Heung-min scoring 5, and Park Hyo-bae scoring the rest with Lee Seung-woo. Then we joined the East Asian Cup, where we beat China, Japan, and North Korea to win the East Asian Cup. So we move on to 2020. We have another road to World Cup, this time against Singapore again, away, before going through to the final stage of the World Cup qualifying. We were drawn with Japan, China, Iraq, and North Korea, and we won all games in this year. In 2021, we beat India and China in the World Cup qualifying again, and then beats Iraq before we play in the Confederation Cup. So I think we were lucky to play in Confederation Cup because we are not the winner of the Asian Cup, but in this competition, the eventual winner before in the Asian Cup is Australia, is the host. So automatically we were chosen to represent Asia in this Confederation Cup. So we beat Brazil 3-0. Park Hyo-bae scoring twice against this mighty Brazil team. And then we beat New Zealand 4-0. Our legend player, our perfect player Park Hyo-bae scored in the 56th minute. And then in the final group stage, we lost 4-1 against France. We actually scored the game first in the 18th minute before France has done it brilliantly in the second half, scoring 4 goals. And then in the semi-final, we had our revenge against Australia by beating them 5-0. Park Hyo-bae also in the score sheet. And then unfortunately in the final, we lost against France 3-2. We scored the first goal again before Anthony Martial scored the equalizer, and we were actually scoring the equalizer in the 94th minute to spark a comeback, but Unfortunately, Ousmane Dembele scored the winning goal 1 minute after the equalizer to make France winning this competition. So as life goes on, we played again in the World Cup qualifying, winning both games, and then a friendly games against Poland we lost 2-1. Robert Lewandowski scores there before winning against Ghana, Belgium, and Iran. And then we played again in East Asian Cup. We won against China, Hong Kong, and Japan to win this competition again. In 2022, the World Cup year. So we started off by winning against Qatar, and then we lost against Venezuela, I'm sorry, and then we won against Lebanon. In November, we had a friendly games against Russia and Bosnia, basically our warm up for the World Cup. And then we were in the Group E, where we were with Argentina, Costa Rica, and Romania. We drew against Argentina 0-0. So this is a very, very intense team to play against, and we did manage to hold them up. And then in the second game, we beat Costa Rica 7-2, where Lee Kang-in, Lee Ji-sung, Ki Sung-yong, Son Heung-min, and Kim Min-woo scored against the Costa Rican side. The final game of the World Cup, we won against Romania 3-2. Finally, Park Hyo-bae scored his first World Cup goal. Unfortunately, although we were through in the second round, we were beaten by Ghana in the extra time, where we conceded the lead goal at the 170th minute. So in this World Cup, the first World Cup for the perfect player, we only end up in the second round. So hopefully we can do better in 2026, but we shall see first in the year 2023. So here, we won the Asian Cup group stage by beating UAE, North Korea, and Hong Kong. Park Hyo-bae only scored in the game against Hong Kong in the group stage. And then in the second round, we won 3-0 against Thailand. And then we beat Iraq 3-0, Park Hyo-bae scoring twice. 7-0 against Uzbekistan in the semi-final, Park Hyo-bae scoring a hat-trick there. Before we beat the team that beat us in the final 4 years ago, Australia, 3-0. Son Heung-min and Park Hyo-bae scoring twice in the final. And actually it was playing in South Korea. So it was a very, very good competition held at home for these Korean teams. And then the Road to World Cup started. We beat Malaysia, Yemen, Nepal, a friendly game draw against Paraguay. And then we were playing against in the World Cup qualifying again with Iraq, Malaysia, Yemen, and Nepal, that we won all of them. We had a friendly games against Saudi Arabia before the East Asian Cup, where we won against North Korea, China, and drawing against Japan. And we managed to finish this competition top again. Moving on to 2024, it's a quiet season where we only had World Cup qualifying and World Cup qualifying groups final group stage. We were now drawn against Uzbekistan, UAE, Japan, and North Korea, and Bahrain to round up the year 2024. In 2025, we resumed the World Cup qualifying against Uzbekistan and UAE. And then in June, we played against Japan. And this year, since we won the FC Cup, we managed to represent Asia again, and we were drawn against Argentina, where we drew 2-2. the last time we played Argentina was 0-0. So basically, I think South Korean standard is same with Argentina at the moment. So then we beat Canada 3-1, Park Hugh scoring in the 14th minute, and then before losing to Belgium 4-1. Park Hugh goal does not mean anything in this match where we were eliminated in this group stage. In September, we continued playing the World Cup qualifying, and I guess this is the time that we wrap off the qualification and qualifying for the World Cup in the year 2026. So we hope that this team can make it better this time around. But before that, we have the East Asian competition again, where we beat China, North Korea, and Japan. And I'm not sure that we win this season. Yes, we do in 2025. In fact, in 2027, although we haven't seen that one yet, we won it also. So we won this competition in the year 2025. Good warm up before we played World Cup in 2026. Can Park Hyu-bae, our legend player, our perfect player, do something to this team in this World Cup? Let's see. So in the year 2026, we opened our account by playing friendly against Greece, Spain, and Germany, where we lost once, drew once, and win once for our World Cup warm up. And then in the World Cup, Park Hyu-bae scored the equalizing goal against Croatia. And then in the other games, Park Jin-sup scoring the winning goals against Tunisia to make us barely qualified for the second round. In the second round, we beat Brazil 2-1. Park Hyu-bae scored in the 46th minute before Park Jung-joo scoring the winning goal in the 103rd minute in the extra time. And then we played against Portugal and we beat them 2-1 thanks to Lee Ji-sung and Park Jun-joo again scoring both goals. In the quarterfinal, we drew against Germany. Park Hyu-bae equalized the goal in the 65th minute, but unfortunately, although with his 20 or the perfect penalty taking stats, he still missed the penalty. But nevertheless, the team managed to march on by winning the shootout thanks to Heiko Schmidt missing the penalty in the final kick. And then in the semi-final, we beat Mexico 2-0, Park Jung-joo scoring twice and advanced in the final for the first time in the history. Unfortunately, although we scored first again, France, I think we already played them three times, and we scored all of them first, but unfortunately we lost all of them. So Park Hyu-bae did score in the 3rd minute before Thomas Lemar, William Goebbels, and Paul Pogba scoring 3 goals, and then Yoon Hyung-ho in the 60th minute sparked a mini comeback hope, but it doesn't meant to be for the South Korean team, where they have to be happy in second place. So that was a bit unfortunate, but we hope that this team can do one better in the next World Cup. Let's hope so. And then later that year, they lost against Holland and winning against Chile, Uruguay, and Algeria in friendly games. In 2027, another Asian Cup competition, we started off by beating Thailand, Saudi Arabia, and Malaysia. Park Hyu-bae scoring hat-trick there. qualified to the second round by beating Bahrain. Park Hyo-bae scoring again. We win 4-0 against UAE in the quarterfinal. Park Hyo-bae scores again. And then a 6-1 victory against Iran. Park Hyo-bae scores once, Park Jung-joo score 4, and Hong Chang-ho wrap it up in the 56th minute. So, in the final, we beat Australia again. So, out of the 3 finals we played in this experiment, we played all 3 games against Australia, where we lost once and winning twice. Son Heung-min sparked the comeback in the 82nd minute before Park Hyo-bae scoring in the dying minutes to win this competition for the team. And this was played in Australia, so it's gonna be a very tough luck, very tough to digest for the Austrian Football Federation. So with that, now South Korea has won 4 times of the competition, twice in this experiment, and actually we lost twice in the finals against Australia before we changed the luck by winning the competition twice, making Australia runner-up twice. So for the past 4 competitions, it's a neck and neck with Australia. So does that mean in the next 4 years we're gonna play Australia again? We shall wait and see. So let's have a look at the ranking for the South Korean team. So when we first started this experiment, South Korean was ranked in the 57th, and now after 10 years with the perfect player, we have jumped into 3rd, as high as 3rd. We are now the top 3 team in the world. So as you can see, Park Hyo-bae is the captain for this team, and Yoo Jun-ho is the key player. So the perfect player, Park Hyo-bae, has influenced the team a lot. With that, we will jump 10 years ahead to see what's gonna happen to the national team, what's gonna happen to Park Hyo-bae. Will he bring glory? Will he bring World Cup to South Korea? That's our main goal in this experiment. So, thank you for watching the first part of this experiment. We shall continue again in the second part of the competition or the experiment. Stay tuned.